Good afternoon, everyone. So for today, we're going to discuss our next topic for this midterm in Linguistics 1, which is morphology. So for our objectives at the end of the lesson, the students should be able to explain the basics of morphology and dissect structure of words through morphological analysis. First, we define morphology. So it comes from Greek origins, which is a combination of morph, meaning shape or form, and ology, which means the study of something. So morphology was named for the first time in 1859 by the German linguist in the name of August Schleicher. Sorry. So morphology, if you can remember the last topic that we had for the prelim, semantics, we defined it as the study of word formation. So for morphology, it is the study of word meaning rather for semantics. So morphology is the study or concerned with word formation or the structure of words. So we have the word morpheme. So morpheme, these are the minimal units of meaning. They are the smallest meaning-bearing units of language and are considered as the building blocks of morphology. So to illustrate this, we have your words here, buyer, sunflower, and girl. So we will try to identify the number of morphemes for each word. So for example, for the first one, we have here buyers. So buyers we have here 3 morphemes. So ma'am, bakit 3? So first, we have here the base form, kumbaga. So your morphemes, kumbaga, since we said that it's the smallest meaning-bearing units of language, so what composes the word buyers? What words? That includes, kumbaga, the base form or the root words as well as its affixes, which is your prefix and your suffix. So we have 3. First one is your base form, by. Another is your suffix er and your suffix na s. So next, we also have your word here, sunflower. We have 2 morphemes, your sun and your flower. On the other hand, we also have girl. So for the word girl, the base form of girl is still girl. So we only have 1 morpheme. Girl pa rin. So since wala naman ibang affixes na nakakabit or naka-attach sa word na girl, we only have 1 morpheme. So that's if we are saying girls, so those are 2 morphemes, girl na base form and then the suffix na s. Okay. So these are what we're some of the topics that we are going to discuss, which comprises your morpheme. So for now, we're going to discuss what are the major components of a word. So the major components of a word are as follows: your root word and your affix. So your affix could be classified as prefix or suffix. So for root word, this is a word by which other words are formed by adding an affix. So the simplest, kumbaga, or base form of a word, we call it as your root word. Such as in the word buyers, the root word or the base form of buyers is by. Affixes, on the other hand, these are the morphemes that are attached to a word stem to form a new word or word form. So this could be derivational or inflectional. So we will discuss that also later on, or what is derivational and inflectional. So same with the example kanina. So I'll annotate that first. We have there, buyers. So in the word buyers, we said that our root form or our root word there is by. So our affixes there is, we have 2 affixes. So what did we attach to the word stem or to the root word? We attached er and your s. Kumbaga. So we were able to form a new word because of er and s from by into buyers. So everything that you attach to your root word or to your base form, we call it as your affixes, and they could be classified as prefix or suffix. So prefix, pag prefix, this is an affix attached to the beginning of a word from the word before. So before the root word, those are what we call as your prefix. So affixes attached after the root word, they are called suffix or suffixes. So these are some common examples of prefixes. So non, im, and un, these are prefixes which mean not, such as in your impossible, meaning not possible, your nonsense, unable, unfortunate, and improper. Another, we have your mal and your mis. So these are prefixes which mean bad or wrong, such as in the words malnutrition, misspell, misconception, malpractice. So for suffixes, these are some commonly used or commonly seen na mga suffixes as well. We have your OR, your ER, your IST, and your ANT. So these are suffixes which often mean one who or which does something, such as in the word teacher, someone or a person who teaches, inventor, a person who makes or invents something, pianist, someone who plays the piano, for example, assistant, someone who offers his or her assistance. Next, we have your free and your bound morphemes naman. So your free morphemes, these are morphemes that can stand by themselves as single words. So as single words, kumbaga, as they are, they have meaning. That's why they can stand alone. Kumbaga, we have your words such as open, your tour, yung bye kanina, girl, and so on and so forth. Those are free morphemes because just makatindog sila nga sila lang because they hold meaning as they are. So bound morphemes, on the other hand, these are forms or morphemes that cannot normally stand alone and are typically attached to another form. So kabaliktaran lang sang free morphemes ang bound morphemes. If ang free morphemes, they can stand alone as they are since they have meaning, may meaning sila yang maskin sila lang, ang bound morphemes hindi. Kailangan, just like your prefix na re, your suffix na ist, suffix na ed, suffix na s, they are bound morphemes because they have to be attached to another word in order to have meaning. So for example, when you say, have you seen the ist who played tonight? So ano nang ist? Sino na siya? Ano na siya? So wala siya sang meaning. So you have to attach it to another word in order for it nga ma-play niya kung ano man ang function niya. Although morpheme siya, hindi mo ma-appreciate kung ano ang iyang function if siya lang. Kumbaga. So have you seen the pianist that played tonight? So gin-attach na ang ist sa word nga piano, piano plus ist, pianist. Kumbaga. So it has meaning. Someone who plays the piano. Okay. So that's the meaning. That's the meaning pala. So those are bound morphemes for you. You have to attach them to another form in order to have meaning or to be comprehensible. So when used with bound morphemes, root words are technically known as stem or base. So our root words, another name or another term for our root words are your stem or base. For this session, we're going to call them your root words as base. For example, in the word undressed, we have three morphemes for the word undressed. We have your base or your root word. As you can see here, we use the term base. The base form of undressed is dress. We have your un, which is the prefix, and your ed, which is the suffix. Next is carelessness. So in the word carelessness, care is the base form, less is the suffix, ness is the suffix as well. So of course, they are suffixes because we said affixes that come after the base word or the root word are considered as suffixes. So there are a number of English words in which the element treated as the base is not in fact a free morpheme. For example, we have your receive, reduce, and repeat. So in these words, for example, the base form here, sieve, duce, and pit, they are the base form, but hindi natin sila ma-identify or mahambal nga free morpheme. So, di ba we said free morphemes are, we defined free morphemes kanina. So we have your sieve, we have your dus, and we have your pit. Sorry, may dot pa ang dus. Anyway, so for example, for this base, this base forms, they are the base forms, but we cannot say that they are free morphemes because if you use them as they are, nga sieve, dus, kag pit lang, they do not have meaning on their own. So you have to attach them to other bound morphemes in order to have meaning. So hindi ta siya hambalon nga tanan nga base form are free morphemes because there are base forms na bound morphemes sila or they cannot stand alone because they don't hold meaning nga sila lang. So such as your sieve, do, spit, we have to attach them to your another bound morpheme na re in order to hold meaning. Okay. So ano lang siya, though, heads up or disclaimer kumbaga. So next, you also have your inflectional and derivational morphemes. So your inflectional morphemes, if we make use or if you attach your inflectional morphemes, they do not change the word class or part of speech. So part of speech, noun, verb, adjective, preposition, adverb, and so on and so forth. So pag nagagamit ka daw sa inflectional morpheme, hindi niya i-change, maskin mag-add ka pa or you make use of the suffixes in the inflectional morphemes, hindi mag-change ang part of speech. For example, in the word big, so big, in the part of speech, big is an adjective since it is a word that describes a person, place, animal, event, or thing. So adjective big, when we added the suffix er, so bigger na siya, did it change the part of speech? So if big is an adjective, ano ba ang bigger? Adverb na ba siya? Noun na ba siya? Pronoun na ba siya? So it's still adjective. So that's your inflectional morphemes for you. Pag inflectional morphemes, hindi ma-change ang part of speech, maskin idugang na siya nga suffix. So same with your biggest. When we added est to the word big, naging biggest siya but it does not change the part of speech. So inflectional morphemes close the building of a new word and they come last. For example, here we have your word biggest. Your est here is the inflectional morpheme. So we say nga wala na change ang ang part of speech, 'di ba? Biggest, from big to biggest, that's still an adjective. Mas naglaba lang ang spelling, but still they both belong to adjective na part of speech. So they close the building of a word because hindi ka na pwede magdugang sang another suffix pa dire. Hindi ka pwede nag-bigger ka then madugang kapag est, biggerest. So not only is that not allowed, but it's also grammatically wrong. So they come last as well. Mga inflectional morphemes, they are always seen at the last part of the base form. So they are suffixes only. Wala inflectional morphemes na prefix. So they do not pile up. As I said, hindi pwede nga base form plus inflectional morpheme plus inflectional morpheme. Isa lang gid na siya ka inflectional morpheme. So we have 8 inflectional morphemes only in the English grammar. So first we have for the verbs. Sa informing verbs, for example, we only have 4 inflectional morphemes. So we have here for the present tense, for the past tense, for the present participle, and for the past participle. So informing the present tense of the verb, we have here your suffix na s. So it shows or we use your suffix s to show that something is currently happening. Just like in your verb na wait, when you plus or you add your present, for example, so you have the word wait plus present is equals to waits. So that's it. So hindi siya nagbago ang part of speech. Wait, verb, naging wait, and then you added your present tense na suffix, your s, it becomes waits. It's still a verb. Kumbaga, naghihintay. Another, for your past tense naman, we have your D or ED, depende kung ano ang gina-follow niya nga last letter sa word. So we still make use of your verb na wait. If we add your D or ED, na from verb na wait, you add your past, it's waited. So it's still a verb. No change in the part of speech. Next, for your present participle, so another form, kumbaga, or another way of forming your present tense, na ing, basta present participle, just remember that it's ing. Usually, it's your auxiliary verb plus your ing for present participle. So for example, wait plus your present participle, waiting. So for example, she is waiting in the car right now. Past participle naman, another way of forming your past tense. So en or ed, depende kung regular or irregular verb ang verb nyo na ginagamit. For wait, since it's a regular verb, we just add your ed. So for example, for wait became waited. So walang nag-change sa part of speech. Wait is a verb, waited verb pa din. So she has waited in the car for 2 hours. So the same lang. So there are only four inflectional morphemes for informing your verbs. So we only have 8 inflectional morphemes, 4 down, 4 to go. For nouns naman, we only have 2 inflectional morphemes in forming your nouns. So we have your pluralizer, S. For nouns naman ito ha, iban tong S na ginagamit for verbs, iba rin yung sa nouns. So when we make use of your S, usually in your nouns, this is to signify na plural form. So for example, you have here, for example, na our word is chair plus plural. So let's annotate that. Chair plus plural equals to chairs. So we added your S. Since we say na your plural is your S usually. So chair plus plural is chairs. So noun ang chair. When we added S, wala man nagbago, nagdamo lang ang chairs, but still they are, or chairs is still considered as noun. So inflectional morpheme siya. The same with the second one, possessive. So for your possessive naman na nouns, informing your possessive nouns, your S or your S apostrophe or apostrophe S. Okay. Depende sa kung ano ang word, ang last letter ng word. So we form that to show ownership, di ba? Your S apostrophe or your apostrophe S. So chairs, for example, we have there the sentence, the chair's legs are broken. So from chair is a noun, and then when we added your apostrophe S, possessive lang, naging possessive form siya, but still, that is a noun. Basta apostrophe S, possessive noun, or when you added your apostrophe S there, or S apostrophe pa man na siya, they are still the same. Noun pa rin yan. So it, of course, nagavary lang man, di ba nga S apostrophe, if, of course, the word that you are going to make or going to change form into possessive is ending in S. So for example, Tobias plus, so Tobias na name ng person, proper name of a person. So Tobias plus possessive is equals to Tobias apostrophe because it ends in S. So dito mag-add ka na lang sang apostrophe if you're forming it into possessive na noun. Okay. So the same lang, as you have seen, the part of speech did not change. We just added your S or your S apostrophe, but it did not change the part of speech. Noun pa rin. So lastly, we have your adjectives. For your adjectives, we only have 2. Your ER or your EST, which I have shown you kanina in our example for inflectional morphemes. So ER is used, or ang function niya is to show yung comparative degree ng adjectives. For example, we have the word fast. So fast is an example of an adjective. because it is a word that is used to describe a person, place, animal, thing, or event. So fast plus your comparative degree is equals to faster. So that's it, kumbaga. So nag-iba lang ang spelling kasi nadagdagan ng ER, but fast and faster, they are both adjectives pa rin. Mas taas lang siya nga degree. Same with your EST, superlative, pinakataas na. So base niya, comparative, and then your superlative degree, pinakataas na, kumbaga sa tanan. But still, they are adjectives. Fast plus your SUP for superlative equals to fastest. Walang pinagkaiba, they are still adjectives, nag-iba lang yung degree. Okay, so that's it for your inflectional morphemes. So just keep in mind, there are only 8 inflectional morphemes. And pag inflectional morphemes, hindi naga-change pag nagamit itong any of these 8 morphemes. So for example, for verbs, pag verb siya nga gin-add sang maskin isa dire sa ila lang, it's still going to be a verb. For example, if a noun or there's a noun na nag-add ng S or S apostrophe, they are still going to be a noun. Same with your adjective. If you add ER or EST to an adjective, they are still going to be an adjective. So you have to be careful as well in identifying kung ang word ba na or ang form, the base form na attachan is adjective, verb, or noun ba siya. So irregular forms can be represented morphologically using this morpheme. So as I have said earlier, we also have to review, or you also have to review on your own yung mga irregular forms, like your mga irregular forms of verb, sa mga adjective. So for example, for this one, sheep plus pluralizer is equal to sheep. So hindi siya sang sheeps because in English grammar, the plural form of sheep is still sheep. For example, in verb naman, so this is already in your nouns. So nouns pa lang ito. For example, drive plus past or past tense ng drive is drove, not drived. So that's wrong ang drived. It's drove. Same with, ano pa ba? Sorry, annotate pala yan. For example, we have the word, kunyari the verb cut plus your past tense. Hindi siya cutted, it's still cut. Maskin past participle pa na, the past participle of cut is still cut, hindi cutted. So you have to be careful, especially for mga irregular forms. For example, if beautiful, comparative, beautiful plus comparative, example, beautiful, and then beautiful plus comp. So wala may mag-answer nga beautifuler ha. So comparative degree of beautiful is more beautiful. Okay. So you have to be careful as well since there are irregular forms sa nouns, verbs, and adjectives na hindi siya ma-form just by adding ES, your ER, your EST, your ING, and so on and so forth. So for that, you have to study or to look for those words and remember them really. Derivational morphemes, on the other hand, so ano lang siya, somehow, kabaliktaran rin ng inflectional morphemes. Since for inflectional morphemes, it does not change the word class or the part of speech. Derivational morphemes naman, when we use them, naga-change ang word class or part of speech. For example, in the word announcement, so our base form here for the word announcement, so we will, ano lang muna, dissect it. So the base form announce is a verb. Action. Action siya. So syempre, if it's an action or a word that describes an action, it's a verb. So announcement, when you add ment announcement here, hindi na siya sang verb. It became a noun already. So, announce plus meant equals announcement naging noun na siya. So, yan naman ang difference ng derivational morphemes. Gina-change niya ang part of speech ng isang word. So, syempre, mabulayan kagid if you as a person do not know if ang word ba is noun ba siya, verb ba siya, adjective, mahirapan ka talaga. So, you have to identify first if the base form ba is verb na ba siya daan, and then, for example, just like this one, you're meant, announcement. So, announcement, ano ba? Action ba ng announcement? Ay, announcement to the class. So, daw mali man, no? Ay, announcement to the class that there will be no class on Monday. So, that's wrong. So, announcement is not an action. It's a noun. So, as you can see, meant here is a derivational morpheme, and it changed the word class or part of speech of the word announce when it added meant. So usually, they do not close off the building of a new word. If ang inflectional morpheme, isa lang gid ang pwede mo gamiton, like your chairs, di ba? When you say chairs, chair na noun, base form, plus your pluralizer na S, chairs, wala na, closed na siya, hindi ka na pwede magdugang. For derivational morphemes, pwede siya nga magpatong-patong ang pag-build mo or ang pag-attach mo sa derivational morphemes or some morphemes in general, as long as it's grammatically correct. We have here your word formalize. So in the word formalize, our base form is formal. As you can see, siya ang hindi naka-bold. So ang derivational morpheme here is your IZE. So formalize, kumbaga. So formal, this is an adjective. Formal is an adjective. When we added IZE, formalize, it became a verb. That's why it's derivational, because verb adjective siya, when we added or we attached this morpheme, it became a verb. So derivational because it changed, or IZE is a derivational morpheme because it changed the part of speech of this base word. So they can pile up and may take an inflectional morpheme. So for example, di ba, formalize is already a verb, as we said. So formalize, IZE is derivational, and then D, so verb ang formalize. When we added D, this is a past tense of your, so verb ang formalize, let me annotate para hindi tayo ma-confuse. Okay. So formalize is a verb. So kanina, formal. Nung formal lang, formal is an adjective. When we added your IZE, it became formalized. So nag-iba na ang part of speech, naging verb na. So pwede siya na ang derivational morpheme, after mo mag-add ng derivational morpheme sa isang word, pwede ka mag-add ng inflectional morpheme, as you can see here in this example. Formalized naman, past tense lang. Sorry. There. So makita mo ang change from adjective to verb. And then since inflectional morpheme naman ang letter D, it only made formalized na word into past tense, formalized. So hindi na pwede magdugang since letter D or your suffix D is already an inflectional morpheme. So 'di ba ang rule natin, pag ang atin na last is inflectional morpheme na, closed na, hindi na pwede magdagdag. Okay. So that's it for derivational morphemes. So this is a criteria to identify different types of morphemes or to help you as well. So we have the question, can it stand alone as a word or may meaning ba siya nga siya lang? Ang word may meaning ba kung siya lang itself? So if the answer is yes, then it is a free morpheme. For example, in the word beater, beat there is a free morpheme because may meaning siya as is lang, nga siya lang. So if the answer is no, can it stand alone as a word? If your answer is no, then it is a bound morpheme. such as the suffix rather, such as the suffix er in the word bitter. So ang er wala siya sang meaning kung siya lang gamiton mo, 'di ba? Nga ano ba? I used an in beating the eggs. So anong an so wala sang meaning ang nga siya lang. So for example, if you say naman na I beat the eggs using a fork. So may meaning ang beat. Nga ano ba na siya, action siya nga ang beat, for example. So can it stand alone as a word? If the answer is yes, free morpheme siya. Can it stand alone as a word? If no ang answer, then it's a bound morpheme. So does it carry the principal meaning of the word it is in? If the answer is yes, then it is the base or the root word. For example, happy in unhappiness. The root word in unhappiness is happy. So does it carry the meaning, kumbaga, or does it give you an idea of the meaning of the word? So if yes, then it is the root word or the base form. If the answer naman is no, for example, in unhappiness, ang unbakagnes, sila ba ang nag-hold sang meaning sa word nga unhappiness? So if the answer is no, then they are just affixes. So pwede po siya nga maselect mo or maklasify nga prefix ba siya or suffix. So does it create a new word or a new meaning or both by changing the word class or ang part of speech? If na-change ang word class or ang part of speech rather, pag na-change siya, it is derivational affix, as we have said in the example announcement. Since announce is a verb, sang gindugang ang meant, nahimo na siya nga noun. So meant is a derivational affix or derivational morpheme. If no naman, it did not change the part of speech or the word class, then it is an inflectional affix or inflectional morpheme. Just like in the word smartest. Smart is an adjective when we added the superlative na suffix to show superlative degree, your EST, smartest, wala nag-change ang part of speech. Adjective pa rin siya. Smart is an adjective, smartest is an adjective pa rin. Mas taas lang ang degree. Bright, mas pinaka-bright. Kumbaga, pinaka-bright. Smartest. So if yes, derivational. If it did not change the part of speech, then it's inflectional. So lastly, we have your morphological analysis. Kumbaga, nagagawin natin or just one way in morphology as well to dissect your words. So for example, we have the word teachers. So in the word teachers, we have 3 morphemes as listed here already. Our root word is teach. So teach is a verb, as you can see. Sorry. So teach is your base. It's a free morpheme because it can stand alone. Teach itself has a meaning, diba? It's an action of imparting or relaying something to people such as your students. So it's a verb. Your ER here, as you can see, so it's an affix siya, or to be specific, it's a suffix. So affix, bound morpheme because it cannot stand alone. Derivational siya because nga derivational, ma'am, kay may ER man sa inflectional morpheme kaina. Yes, that's correct. But then, ang teach, we said teach is a noun. Now, when we added teacher, or noun, sorry. So, or teach here is a verb. Diba, action ang teach. When we added your suffix er, teacher, verb bagyapon siya, verb ba ang teacher? I am teaching someone. So, hindi. Teacher is a person. It's a noun already. So, from verb, naging noun, it's derivational. Kaya nag-change ang iyang part of speech. So, affix-bound derivational suffix. And then, so, tong teacher nga word, noun siya. And then, ang S, when we added S to teacher, teachers, damo nga teachers, that's still person pa rin. Nagdamo lang nga person, that's still a noun. So, affix-bound inflectional. Kaya wala nagbago ang part of speech. Teacher, teachers, same part of speech, noun. So, that's how you do your morphological analysis. Another example, boyishness. So we also have 3 morphemes for boyishness. Boy, base free, since maka-stand alone ang boy na word, or boy itself has a meaning. Ish is an affix. Bound and derivational because noun ang boy. It's a person, a name of a person. When we added boyish to boy, boyish, boyish is a word to describe someone. Medyo boyish, ano? So, it's an adjective. So, nag-iba ang part of speech. Affix bound derivational suffix because it's added after the base form. And then we also have earnest, affix bound derivational suffix because boyishness, iba na also siya na iba na siya na part of speech as well. So boyishness now is a noun. So boyishness, from noun, then naging adjective, then from adjective naging noun, derivational pa rin. So affix bound derivational suffix. So next we have your smarter. So we only have 2 morphemes for this one. Smart is the base form. So it's a free morpheme because smart alone as a word has meaning. So it's an adjective. And then smarter, does it still describe someone or is it still an adjective? Yes. So affix siya, bound, and inflectional. So for inflectional morphemes, pwede na hindi nyo nabutangan suffix since all inflectional morphemes are suffixes anyway. Gets na siya nga suffix siya. Presentation for morphology. So no activity pa for this lesson since ang next activity will be on the next lesson pa, which is your word formation processes. So that would be all for today. Good day, God bless, and stay safe.